How's it going, guys? It's Double Rim here, back with another NBA game reaction. Two playing games to react to, and I got a little rant at the end because I am a Blazer fan, and this play-in did, in fact, impact the Blazers in a very big way. But anyways, I'll get to that later. So, first things first, the Hawks Cavs game. Now, the Cavaliers arena was popping. It was, through the broadcast, it was so loud. The chants, like in the first quarter, the fans in the first quarter were incredibly loud for the Cavaliers. And, the Cavs started off, I think, making like 7 of 8 threes, something like that. And, you know, what encouraged me, though, for the Hawks is that they were still kind of hanging around. They weren't making their shots. They weren't playing well. They were turning the ball over, and the Cavs were making everything. And they were only down 10, 11 points, which in the modern NBA really isn't much. So they stuck around most of the game. And in the third quarter, and Trae Young had a slow first half. Lauri Markkanen had a huge first half, just making every three he took. And the NBA game is a long game. It's a game of runs, as people say. And one team goes on a run, then another team goes on a run. And it's your job to respond to that run. So in the third quarter, the Hawks went on a run, led by Trae Young, obviously. Actually, before I talk about that, I want to give a shout out to Bogdanovich. In the second quarter, he really kept the Hawks alive. They were kind of, I think they were down, 15 to 20 points or so. And then Trae gets subbed out. Bogdanovich comes in. They start playing a little better defense. Bogdanovich hits like 5 straight shots or something. He makes like all 5 of his shots in the second quarter. And he keeps it around 10 at halftime, which was huge for them because in the third quarter, Trae Young started heating up. And also DeAndre Hunter had some nice takes to the basket. And, Danilo started picking up his game. And Onyeka Okongwu was put in the game for a lot of the second half because Clint Capella sort of injured himself and was out for the game. And I honestly think that helped him because Onyeka is nice, man. He's more mobile than Capella, but he's also seemingly just as effective as at deterring shots of the rim. Obviously, I don't have the stats on that right now. It's just kind of what I saw in that game. He was as effective in that singular game as Capella, is what I will say. But yeah, the Hawks made a run. A lot of their team role players contributed, and Trae Young started heating up. And man, Trae Young is, I don't usually like to use a lot of platitudes and stuff like this, but Trae Young is that dude, man. He does not wilt under the pressure. And in the fourth quarter, he was making huge shots, going toe to toe with some of the Cavaliers players who were trying to keep themselves in the game. Specifically, Karis LeVert had like 2 or 3 big threes, and Trae Young just pretty much hit a 3 to respond back to all of them to keep it a tie game until they started missing. And Trae hit his little floaters, hit some mid ranges, got some easy buckets for his teammates. And it was very strange because the Cavaliers' defensive scheme on Trae was like they were just switching. So they were switching Lauri Markkanen on him every play, and Trae just blew right past him, got an easy floater. I was surprised they didn't try to actually, and then on the offensive end, they didn't actually try to use their size advantage against Trae Young. So they kind of he would stay in the corner, and he never really had to guard the primary ball handler. And if I was the Cavaliers, I would have, Karis LeVert, clear out everyone to the one side, leave Trae Young on one side, and then call a pick and roll with Trae Young's man, and just as Karis LeVert is like 6'5", just start backing him down. Or maybe even use Mobley or Markkanen to do something like that. So they really didn't take advantage of their size in this game, the Cavaliers, and they only were ahead early on because of all the shots they were making, and once they started falling and regressing to the mean, the Hawks took the game over. And Trae Young had an amazing second half. I think he had like 32 in the second half and 6 in the first. So overall, great game by the Hawks. Hot take time. Think the Hawks. Now in my NBA bracket, I picked the Heat to win in 6 games against the play-in team, but I will say I would not be shocked if the Hawks beat them, just because of they're pretty much the exact same team as last year, and they beat the Philadelphia 76ers and took the Bucks to 6 games. So that's nothing to scoff at. But let's see if they can replicate that same energy as last year. Okay, now the second game. The second game was also equally as good. I had a stake in this one though because it's so weird because I've never rooted for the Clippers unless they're playing the Lakers, right? So it was very strange to root for them because if they beat the Pelicans, the Blazers get the Pelicans pick because we have a lottery pick of the Pelicans. But if the Pelicans won, they get in the playoffs. Now they no longer get a lottery pick. That pick goes to I don't remember where it goes, but it doesn't go to us. So the Blazers, that is. So yeah, it was pretty tough game. It was a really strange game because Brandon Ingram comes out of the gate making everything. Pelicans take a 20-point lead, and then the Clippers claw back like they've done all season. If you've watched any Clippers games, they're an incredibly resilient team. They don't give up without a fight. And they were down 20 points, or I think it was like 16, and they came back and were up like 16. So there was like a 30-point swing in the game in the third quarter. Like Reggie Jackson, Marcus Morris were just hitting their shots. Nick Batum was locking up. Norm Powell missed tons of free throws and layups. And it was also weird as a Blazer fan because there was 7 former Blazers players playing today. It's super weird. But anyways, in the game, so the Clippers had a 16-point lead in the third quarter or something, and in the fourth quarter had a 10-point lead, and then they just let the Pels come back, and it was very strange on how they came back because the biggest thing I think that hurt them was Larry Nance Jr. was just grabbing every offensive rebound. The Clippers could not grab an offensive rebound and finish out possessions. They must have given up at least 10 points in the fourth quarter alone just to offensive rebounds, and it's hard to win like that. Plus, the offense stagnated, but that's something that's happened to Clippers pretty much in every game this season, so that was to be expected, but their lack of offensive rebounding and boxing out completely lost them the game in the fourth quarter. They did get a little ISO heavy. Reggie and Marcus Morris were chucking up some shots because they were feeling it earlier in the game. And they missed a lot of their free throws. They missed a lot of easy layups as well. But like I said, if you've watched the Clippers all year, they don't win because they have an ISO scorer who can get things done down the stretch. They win because they play great team basketball. They play good defense. They play with a lot of heart and hustle. They're on the floor diving. They're trying to grab rebounds and all that kind of stuff. So it was just too bad to see them come back from such a big deficit and then blow their lead that was about the same size as the deficit they came back from. So it was a game that was, if you look at the win probability, it's just Pelicans, whoop, Clippers, and then Pelicans. It was literally super up and down. So, that's pretty much the game reaction summed up. Super excited for the playoffs. The Pelicans, I do not think have any sort of chance against the Suns. I think it'll be a 4-game sweep unless Brandon Ingram drops 50 points or CJ drops 50 points, which is, possible, but I just don't think it's going to happen. All right, double rim out. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I will see you guys, or not see you guys. I mean, there's really no one watching this, but I will make another video probably on next Wednesday or next Thursday, because I am going to San Francisco this weekend to go to a Warrior playoff game. So, it should be pretty fun. All right, peace.